Hey folks, how's it going? Today we're going to be making this really fun slit scan effect that my good friend Hal Lovemelt showed me how to make with just a handful of operators. So let's go ahead and delete everything in here and we'll start again from scratch. Now I have my NDI stream coming in just because I have my camera inside of OBS as well. Now this effect really revolves around three technically main operators, but the main one is actually called the time machine top. And the time machine top is interesting because what it allows us to do is go through a texture 3D top's cache of frames based on an incoming ramp as the second input. So before we can even get started experimenting with this, one of the things we need to do is create this cache of frames that is the basis of the slit scan effect. So I'll go ahead and make a texture 3D top. And if you've worked with something like a cache top before, texture 3D is really similar. The only difference is the backend data structure is a little bit differently, so effects and tops operate on them slightly differently. And in this case, the time machine top requires it to be in this 3D texture array format. So what I'm going to do is plug my NDI into my text 3D here, and we can see it already starting to get lots and lots of frames cached in here. And that's a nice thing about the viewer of this text 3D top is that you can actually see all the frames, whereas in the cache top, sometimes you need to pull out a couple of cache selects. And then I'm going to go ahead and plug this text 3D into the first input of my time machine top. And the final thing we need is a ramp of some sort. Now you can get as creative as you want with your ramps, and I'm going to show you a couple of really fun little tricks that my good friend Hal Lovemelt showed me that we can use with these ramps. But first and foremost, what I'm going to do is create just a regular old ramp top. And then I'm going to plug in the ramp top to the second input of the time machine. And you can already start to see some really fun and neat stuff going on here with this video effect. Now, a couple of things that we're going to want to do on our ramp top is actually go to the common page of parameters and set the pixel format to be 32-bit RGBA. What that's going to do is just ensure that we have as much data steps as possible along this ramp so that when it's doing the lookup into the texture 3D, it actually gives us as much resolution and gradation as possible. Now, before we actually go too much further, a couple of tricks and tips that you should know about slit scan effects is oftentimes they work best when you're at the fastest amount of frame rate that you can run your project at. So in this case, since I'm running it pretty low at 30 FPS because I'm recording this screen in the background, we can see that if I do fast motions, that there's a little bit of clipping that happens inside of those images. Now, upping the frame rate is certainly going to help because it's going to give you more frame data. But another thing you're going to want to experiment with is how many frames you are actually caching. So in this case, I only have 32 frames cached, but this effect becomes more and more fun as you add more frames to it. But the one thing you have to be careful about is when you middle click on this operator, we can come down here and see GPU mem this top. And this is going to tell you how much of your GPU memory is being used by this operator. Now, unlike a lot of operators like NDIN that usually only use a few megabytes of data, the text 3D, because it has so many frames stacked up inside of it, can secretly end up taking a lot of time on this system. So in this case, if I want to up this to maybe something like 320 cache size, now I've updated this up to 320 frames of cache, and you can see there's lots of frames in there. But if I middle click on it, we can also see that now this is taking just over 2 gigabytes of GPU memory. And that's even when I'm running at 1280 by 720 for my incoming signal. So that's just one thing to be careful about if you're running on a system that doesn't have a kind of newer GPU with lots of memory on it. You might want to keep this cache size value lower. Now, if you do have a GPU that's got lots of frames, by all means crank this up, because once we crank this cache size up, one of the things we can do in the time machine top is set our black offset here. And by default, it's set to 60. So in this case, I'm going to set this to 320, or I should say negative 320. And what that's going to do is essentially make any part of my secondary input, which in this case is a ramp, if it's black, it's going to be 320 frames in the past. And if it's closer to white, it's essentially going to be the current frame. And that's a good way to visualize these ramps that you're feeding into a time machine top is think about the darkest parts of it being past frames, and think about the lightest parts of it being new frames. So when we have this kind of ramp that starts from the right and is bright and goes to black, which is on the left side, we can actually see that visually inside of our time machine top here. And you can see after we turned up the amount of black offset and the amount of frames, our delays are starting to get really long and gooey. But you can also see this effect that has visually going from right to left. So if you want to get creative, you can start doing interesting things here, like making different ramps. So I'll go ahead and make another ramp top. I'm going to change the type of this to be vertical. And in this case, I'll plug this into the second input. And we can already see it's completely changed the look of the effect. So instead of everything going from the right side to the left side, now everything's going from top to bottom. Now this is only the beginning of all the fun stuff you can do. For example, you could make another ramp top, set its type to be circular, and we can plug that in. And that creates a fun effect where there's almost like a little bit of a vortex happening, and that's kind of sucking you into the middle of the screen. We could also even do something fun, like generate some noise with a noise top. And in this case, I have some black and white noise, and I'm just going to plug that into the second input of the time machine. And now you can see it's almost like this goopy, time-warped mosaic of my face everywhere. And if you wanted to see it go by faster, we could also decrease this black offset on the time machine top. So maybe even for now, we'll set it to something like 150. And I disappear from one side, and I reappear somewhere else. So there's a lot of really fun stuff you can do with this, and this is even before us starting to animate some of these. So you can really get creative and animate your noises, even maybe use things like optical flow to create separate kinds of, fluid-based masks that are black and white that you're feeding in. But there is a lot of fun stuff you can do, and this really is how you make a simple slit scan. Get your source input, try and keep your FPS as high as possible, cache a lot of frames inside of a Texture 3D, and then feed that into a time machine top and give it a nice ramp. So I hope that helps you get into this fun effect, and we'll see you in the next one. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you're serious about taking your touch designer and interactive skills to the next level, I highly recommend you check out the Interactive and Immersive HQ Pro. It's the only educational resource and community of its kind for touch designer and interactive professionals. You can learn more by checking out the link in the description. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe and the little bell icon for more awesome free content.